Now everything we know have come in order. Shylock has been put to his place, and as I said, that he was partially wronged. Yes, he had intended, he had evil designs. Other, by the way, when is your exam? When is your exam?
Sir, our board's exam is from 21st Feb.
Okay. Uh, Now, as I said, so Shylock had, of course, evil designs, most inhuman designs, and with his intellect, Portia had put him to his place. But at the same time, I feel that he was also wronged. They had taken away his wealth and all these things. I understand partly, though the goodness of Antonio could have avoided that, but they did it. The worst part is that because Lorenzo is a Christian, so they had enforced the law that all his wealth would go to Lorenzo. He's the most worthless fellow we know. And last and most horrible thing is that Shylock's religion, his belief, his faith, he was a very, very staunch Jew. So that was taken away from him and he was forced to become a Christian. That was the evil part of it. Whatever it is. Then we have that ring play. It was just the lighter side of it, testing the goodness of the husbands, but it was just a very light side of the whole thing. Now, we are back to Belmont. Belmont is the place where uh, Shakespeare has this design in his dramas, where one place is a place of crisis, and then the characters move to a different place, which often becomes a place of help, a place where all problems are solved. Uh, in As We Like It, also we have this. The court is a place of evil design, but the Forest of Arden is where everything becomes good, and the whole play ends in the Forest of Arden. So, similarly, here also we find that Belmont is a place where everything turns good. Bassanio marries Portia, and then finally, Portia also, finally in this place, everything ends in a very happy manner. But Venice was always a place of crisis, a place of tension throughout. Now, here we find the two lovers, Lorenzo and Jessica. They were languishing because Portia had given them charge of the palace of Belmont. So the moon shines bright in such a night as this, where the sweet wind did gently kiss the trees, and they did make no noise. In such a night, Troilus, methinks, mounted the Trojan walls, and sighed his soul towards Grecian tents, where Cressida lay that night. Well, this is a story from the Battle of Troy, from Iliad, Homer's famous epic. You know, Homer has these two famous epics. One is Iliad, the other is Odyssey. Did you hear about these? Have you ever heard of Iliad and Odyssey? Have you heard of Iliad and Odyssey?
No, sir.
Well, the famous writer Homer, he had written these two epics, something like our Ramayana and Mahabharata. So it's an epic, and Iliad is about the famous battle of Troy, the dream city, where ultimately the Greeks destroyed Troy with that wooden horse, where soldiers hide in the belly of the horse, and the Trojans they take the horse inside. When they couldn't defeat the Trojans at war, Greeks planned that, and these soldiers come and set the whole of Troy on fire at night. So, in this Iliad, there is an episode of Troilus and Cressida. Troilus is the son of Priam, the king. So he's the son of Priam, the king of thing, and he was drawn towards a girl called Cressida. Cressida also was in love with him, but in order to exchange a prisoner with the Greeks, they exchanged Cressida for that prisoner. So Cressida was lost to Troilus, and Troilus would at nights walk on the Trojan walls and look with sighing eyes at the Grecian tents, and imagine that Troilus was Cressida was somewhere there. So this story has a more longer story. In fact, Shakespeare has another play, a whole play called Troilus and Cressida. So he has that whole play called Troilus and Cressida. In any case, but we are not going into that. So here he felt Troilus felt sad for Cressida, and he walked on the walls of the Trojan fortress, and he would sigh, thinking that Cressida was somewhere there. Then Jessica said, "In such a night did Thisbe fearfully overtrip the dew and saw the lion's shadow ere himself and ran dismayed." So this is another story. This is another story, a myth, which was enacted by in The Merchant of Venice. It was a play within the play in Shakespeare's famous drama Merchant of Venice. So Troilus, this was a story of Pyramus and Thisbe. The two, Pyramus was the lover and Thisbe was the beloved. Both the families were against their marriage, and so they met in a forest. Thisbe was waiting for Pyramus to come. At that time, she saw the shadow of a lion, and afraid of the lion, Thisbe went and hid herself. At that time, the lion, in the meantime, came, and he found Thisbe's shawl or something like that, and the lion tore it to pieces and then went away. A little later, when Pyramus came, Pyramus found that Thisbe's cloth was torn to pieces, and he thought that Thisbe was devoured by the lion. She was eaten by the lion, and so he felt so sad that he killed himself. A little while later, when Thisbe came out, Thisbe saw the lion, Thisbe saw Pydamus' dead body and she also felt so sad that she also killed herself. So this is another very sad story. All very sad stories they were talking about. And Lorenzo says, in such a night stood Dido with a willow in her hand upon the wild sea banks, waft her love to come again to Carthage. This is the story of the famous Queen Dido of Carthage. Dido uh, fell in love with Aeneas. Aeneas was actually um, one of the survivors of the Battle of Troy. And after the Battle of Troy, Aeneas left the burning Troy and he went and ultimately he founded the city of Rome. But here he had stayed for some time in Carthage and Queen Dido fell in love with her. But Aeneas had her own duties and Aeneas ultimately moved away from Carthage, and Dido was very much heartbroken. And here is the story of this heartbroken Dido standing on the banks, on the sea banks or the shore of the sea with a willow, hoping that Aeneas would come back. But Aeneas never comes back. And ultimately, Dido builds a fire and burns himself. In such a night, Medea gathered the enchanted herbs that renew old Aeson. Jessica is another story of the famous Medea who had who wanted to make his father-in-law young, and in order to do that, she collected some magic herbs which would restore her youth, his youth. Aeson's youth. Aeson was the father-in-law of Jessica. Medea. So the moment he says that, here Aeneas draws a closer link, where he says, in such a night did Jessica steal from the wealthy Jew, that is, our Shylock, and with an unthrift love did run from Venice as far as Belmont. So, she just ran away to Belmont with a selfless love for a lover. In such a night did young Lorenzo swear he loved her well. So Jessica says young Lorenzo had sworn to Jessica, that she loved her well, stealing her soul with many vows of faith and ne'er a true one. And she's making fun that he made many vows, but actually he was not that much true to those vows. In such a night did pretty Jessica, like a little shrew, slander her love, and he forgave it her. So he slandered her love means talked ill about her love, that her lover is not faithful enough and all these things. So talked ill about her love, but the lover forgave him. I would outnight you, did nobody come, but hark, I hear a footing of a man. Jessica says that I can play with you like this, but I hear somebody's, if nobody came, but I hear somebody's footsteps. I would go fast with this only last scene because there's hardly anything in this scene. Who comes as so fast in silence of the night? A friend. Lorenzo, a friend? What friend? Your name, I pray you, friend. Stefano is my name, and I bring word my mistress will, before the break of dawn, be here at Belmont. She doth stray about by holy crosses, where she kneels and prays for happy wedlock hours. So, Holy Cross is a place where she is praying at the present moment, and before break of dawn, he would come back. She would come back to Belmont. Who comes with her? None but a holy hermit and a maid. I pray you, is my master yet returned? Stefano says, uh, there's nobody else, because Jessica had told her not to divulge the real story. So there's nobody else as such. Only a, what should I say, a holy hermit and a hermaid. The holy hermit was possibly in that place of cross where she's praying. So, and has my master returned? That is, has Bassanio returned? He is not, nor we have heard from him. But go we in, I pray thee, Jessica, and ceremoniously let us prepare some welcome for the mistress of the house. So let us go in. He has not come, but let us go in and prepare. Since the mistress of the house is returning, let us go in and plan out some, what should I say, meeting. Okay. And at that time, Launcelot the clown, he enters. So Launcelot the clown, he enters. Launcelot, sola, sola, oh ha, ho, sola, sola, who calls? Sola, did you see Master Lorenzo? Master Lorenzo Sola? Leaf hallowing man, here. Sola, where? Here. So this is just a very light thing. And being the clown, his duty is to make fun, and he's making fun. He deliberately knows many things, but he makes a jocular atmosphere, a joking atmosphere. Tell him there's a post come from my master with his horn full of good news. My master will be here ere morning. So this is actually playing on the word horn. There is not much time to go into these details for the time being. So there is good news that master is returning. Sweet, so let's in. And they expect their coming. So let's go and expect their coming. And yet, no matter why should we go in, my friend Stefano, signify, I pray you within the house your mistress is at hand, and bring your music forth into the air. So what is the need of going in? Your mistress is at shortly at hand, only at the cross corner of the cross or something. So she will be coming in. So let us instead bring the music out and let us play the welcome music. Exit Stefano. How sweet the moonlit slip. The moonlight sleeps upon this bank. Here will we sit and let the sounds of music creep in our ears. Soft stillness and the night become the touches of sweet harmony. So here we will play the music, and the music will render a sweet harmony to our ears. Said Jessica, look how the floor of heaven is thick inlaid with patents of bright gold. So the floor of heaven is with patents of bright gold. Actually, that's actually the moon. The moon with a golden color, possibly the full moon. So that gives an effect, a very, very, what should I say, mesmerizing effect to everybody. There's not the smallest orb which thou beholdest, but in his motion like an angel sings. So this moon, it really creates an effect and there is a and in the movement of the celestial music, actually, in this celestial music created by the moon, because all bodies are moving, so that creates a celestial music, it is believed. So it is as if an angel is singing. Not very important lines these are. Still querying to the young eyed cherubims, such harmony is in immortal souls. So there is a harmony in the atmosphere which also is radiated into the human mind. This is something of a, what should I say, a Renaissance belief or Renaissance theory, but not a very important thing for you now to know. But whilst this muddy vesture of decay doth grossly close it in, we cannot hear it. So, in the purity of music, in the skies, there is that music, but in between there are many gross things, something like mud, which prevents us from hearing the music. Come ho and wake Diana with a hymn. Diana is actually the goddess of the Greek goddess of hunting. The Greek goddess of hunting, who is seen on a full moon night with a hymn which sweetest touches pierce your mistress's ear and draw her home with music. So let us create a music which would enter your mistress's ear and draw her home. I'm never merry when I hear sweet music. Jessica says, well, I don't know. I'm not always happy when I hear sweet music. The reason is your spirits are attentive. Your spirits are attentive for do but note a wild and wanton herd, a race of youthful unhandled colts fetching mad bounds, bellowing and neighboring loud, which is the hot condition of their blood. If they but hear perchance a trumpet sound of any air of music touch their ears, you shall perceive them make a mutual stand, their savage eyes turned into a modest gaze by the sweet power of music. This, what he wants to see is that good music can touch good souls, even if it is an animal soul. Even it is nowadays there is a thing called the music therapy, which is given to animals. Animals react to good music. Animals react to good music. That is always there. So, he says that you are very serious by nature. Your spirits are very attentive in that. You're very serious by nature. Because otherwise, actually this is love speaking. Jessica is not at all very serious. We have seen Jessica playing with monkeys and all, petting monkeys and all these things. So Jessica is not a very serious type of a character. Portia is much more serious than that. But he talks about now, because since both are in deep love, they are all talking all these things. So you will see wild horses. Colts means colt is a young horse. They are wild and running here and there, neighing and doing all these things because they are hot-blooded. Their youth has made them hot-blooded. So they do all these things. Yeah, but even if they hear a good music of a trumpet or something, they stop running and attentively try to hear the music. And their wild looks, that untamed looks, become soft. That is, music also has an effect on, even on animals, good music. Therefore, the poet did feign that Orpheus drew trees, stones, and floods, since not so stockish of heart. This is all talking about ancient Greek mythology and ancient Greek stories. So he talks about Orpheus. Orpheus was a musician par excellence who played his flute, and he could play his flute so beautifully that even the wildest of beasts, not even beasts, stones, water, trees, and even all other inanimate objects, non-living objects, they even were drawn towards the music of Orpheus playing the flute. Since not so stockish, hard, and full of rage, but music for the time doth change his nature. All, even the most wildest thing in nature, was tamed and calmed by the music. The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord sweet sounds, is fit for treason, stratagems, and spoils. So he says that a man who doesn't like good music, who is not affected by good music, can do all sorts of evil things. Even he can plan evil things. He can be a traitor to his country and all these type of things. The motions of his spirits are dull as night, and his affections dark as Erebus. So this is again a reference to Erebus is actually in ancient Greek mythology. Erebus is the place of darkness in hell. Hades, they called it the Hades. Not exactly a Christian hell, but normally all human beings, all human souls after death, they go and stay at Hades. It's not a place of punishment like the Christian hell or our hell. But that's a more of a Greek hell. So that's the darkest place there is called Erebus. So he says that his spirits are dull as night like Erebus if he is not moved by music. Let no such man be trusted. So such man cannot be trusted. And so now let's hear the music. Enter Portia and Nerissa. At that time, that light we see is burning in my hall. How far that little candle throws his beam, so shines a good deed in a naughty world. So I see in my hall there is a candle burning. A candle is burning in my hall, and that little candle is throwing its beams. So even good deeds, like that faint beam of candle, can show a good effect, just like that candle beam is able to drive away a little bit of the darkness. So similarly, good deeds can create an effect even in a naughty world. When the moon shone, we did not see the candle. So Nerissa says, but when there was a moon, now that the moon is behind the clouds, so when it was shining, we did not see the candle. So doth a greater glory dim the less. A substitute shines brightly as a king until a king be by, then and then his state empties itself, as doth an inland brook into the main of waters. Music hark. Music hark. Ah. Oh, wait, we will come to that. So he says, well, that is when a greater good, a greater glory, the moon, the light from the moon is much more powerful than a light from a candle. So a greater glory always dims a lesser glory. The lesser glory shines in place of the real king. It appears to be a king, but when the real king comes, all his glory is gone. Just like a small river when it comes and drains into a big main river, and then the water of that lesser river is gone, engulfed by the bigger river. So similarly, the light of the lesser candle will get engulfed when the moon comes out. And he says, well, hark, we can hear some music. It is your music, madam, of the house. Nothing is good, I see, without respect. Methinks it sounds much sweeter than by day. So, Portia says that everything changes with circumstances. When you are in good time, everything appears good. When you are in good time, everything appears good. But during bad time, everything appears evil. So that is what happened. Now that we are happy, we had saved Antonio, and everything is good for us, the music appears much more sweeter than we hear during the day. Silence bestows that virtue on it, madam. And he says that true silence, also the silence of the night, gives greater effect on the music. During the daytime, there's a lot of sounds here and there that disturbs the sound. The crow doth sing sweetly as a lark when neither is attended. And I think the nightingale, if she should sing by day when every goose is cackling, would be thought no better a musician than the wren. Now he says, in order to experience music, you have to listen to good music. You have to train your eyes to listen to good music. For instance, when nobody is listening, the sound of the crow and the sound of the skylark, a very sweet singing bird, skylark, the lark, both appear same. Both appear same. There's no difference in their songs, because nobody is listening to it. The music, the good music, has no value when compared to the hoarse sound of the crow. Similarly, the nightingale, if she should sing by day when every goose is cackling. So, if the nightingale sings all around, sings at a place surrounded by goose, and all the goose are making the most hoarse sounds, then you will not be able to appreciate the beauty of the nightingale's song. And it would not appear different from the music of the crow, of the wren. Wren is a big black crow. In Bengali we call it darkak. The big black crow, it has a very, very hoarse sound. So it won't appear different from the nightingale would not appear a better musician than even a wren. How many things by seasoned are to their right praise and true perfection. So everything should be placed in the right season. They should be seasoned in the proper manner in order to create that effect. Otherwise, you won't be able to appreciate them. True perfection. Peace. How the moon sleeps with Endymion and would not be awakened. So this is again a story of Endymion. Endymion is again a Greek legend, a myth. And the famous poet, English poet Keats had written a big poem called Endymion. So Endymion is a very famous thing. That is the voice. Or I am much deceived of Portia. So the Lorenzo says from inside. Music sees, well, that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's Portia. He knows me as the blind man knows the cuckoo by the bad voice. So he says Portia is making fun. Cuckoo has a sweet voice, very sweet voice. So he says that just as the blind man knows the cuckoo by the bad voice, so he knows me. We have been praying for our husband's welfare. With speed we hope the better for our words. Are they returned? And as Lorenzo says, dear lady, welcome. Well, we have been praying for our husband's welfare. And have they come back? Madam, they are not, but there is come a messenger before to signify their coming. Well, they haven't come yet, but a messenger said that they are coming. Go in, Nerissa, give order to my servants that they take no note at all of our being absent hence. Nor you, Lorenzo, Jessica, nor you. Well, go in and give my order to my servants that they have not taken any note of our absence. Your husband is at hand. I hear his trumpet. We are no telltales, madam. Fear you not. So, we won't tell anything. This night, methinks, is but the daylight sick. It looks a little paler 'tis a day, such as the day is when the sun is hid. So this appears to be a night, appears to be a dull day. And then enter Bassanio, Antonio, Graciano, and followers. We should hold day with the antipodes if you would walk in the absence of sun, Bassanio says. Bassanio had heard what Portia said. What he wants to say is that here, antipodes means on the other side of the globe. When this side of the earth or globe is night, the other side is dark, day. So he says that when you are walking, you are so beautiful that when you are walking, even this part of the globe is like the other part of the globe, enlightened, day-like. Let me give light, but let me not be light, for a light wife doth make a heavy husband. And never be Bassanio so for me, but God sought all. You are welcome home, my lord. Well, let me show you some light, but I don't want to be a light-hearted person, because that would give a heavy husband. Actually, the famous critic Tilliard is making a note here that there is a most common saying that a good wife makes a good husband. So here he is playing on the other side of the word. A light wife make a heavy husband. So well, let us not want that, and I think everything God has sorted out. You are all welcome home, my lord. I thank you, madam. Give welcome to my friend. This is the man Antonio to whom I am so infinitely bound. So, this is my friend Antonio, to him whom I am deeply indebted. You should, in all sense, be much bound to him, for as I hear, he was much bound for you. Portia is still playing on the words. Definitely, she's playing on the words. You must be bound to him, means you must be deeply devoted to him, for he was bound for you. Bound for you means he was literally in jail. So he was bound by the law at the point of death for you. So you must be no more than I am well acquitted of. So I have been well acquitted of. Sir, you are welcome to our house. It must appear in other ways than words. Therefore, I scant this breathing courtesy. So, Portia welcomes to our house with a very breadth of words, telling that you are welcome to our house. Graciano to Nerissa, by yonder moon I swear you do me wrong. In faith, I gave it to the judge's clerk. Would he were jelt that had it for my part, since you do take it, love, so much at heart. In the meantime, Nerissa has started playing with that rings affair. Nerissa had taken Graciano aside somewhere to the side of the stage, and he was blaming him. Where is the ring that I gave you and promised you not to lose? And Graciano said, you are doing me wrong. I had given it to the judge's clerk. I have never given it to any woman. I have just given it to the judge's clerk. But you are taking it very seriously. A quarrel already? What's the matter? Gracian, about a hoop of gold. Gracian is trying to lighten the matter. Well, it's nothing, just about a bit of gold. A paltry ring that she did give me, whose posy was for all the world like cutler's poetry upon a knife. Love me and leave me not. It was just like a promise that she enforced, that you cannot give this ring to anybody. This is the sign of love. What talk you of the posy or the value? You swore to me when I did give it to you. Well, what are you talking rubbish? You had sworn to me that when I gave you the ring, that you would never part with it, that you would wear it till your hour of death, and that it should lie with you in your grave, that you would never part with it, and even in grave you would wear this ring. Though not for me, yet for your vehement oaths you should have been respective and have kept it. Well, even if it's not for me, you should have kept it for your oath. You should have kept it for your oath, but you didn't do it. You failed to do it. You should have been respective and have kept it. Gave it to the judge's clerk. Oh, God is my judge. The clerk will never wear a hair on his face that had it. You are talking that you gave it to the judge's clerk. I'll tell you that it's not true. Will not have a hair on his face means that actually the judge's clerk you are talking is rubbish. You gave it to some lady who will not have moustache or beard on his face. That means he is never a man. So you are talking rubbish about that. Actually, what Nerissa says is true, because it was Nerissa herself. So she literally gave it to a lady without knowing it. He will if he live to be a man. He will give if he live to be a man. I, if a woman lived to be a man. So Narisa is playing, well, if a woman lived to be a man, then he will become a man. Now by this hand I gave it to a youth, a kind boy, a little scrubbed boy, no higher than thyself, the judge's clerk, a prating boy that begged it as a fee, and I could not, for my heart denied him. Well, I tell you, I give it to a boy. It is a boy, something of the same height as you, and he begged it as a fee, so I gave it to him. I could not deny him. You were to blame. Now Portia enters the scene. Portia enters the scene. You were to blame. I must be plain with you, to part so lightly with your wife's first gift. A thing struck on with oaths upon your finger, and so riveted with faith unto your flesh. Well, you are to blame that you gave away the ring. How can you give away the ring? That something given with an oath is like something that is cut and set into your finger, riveted. Riveting is actually a screw type of thing that is that holds two irons permanently. You cannot open that screw. It's like that. It's closed from both ends. That is called riveting. So it is riveted. It should have been permanently set in your finger. So you should never have given. You are talking a wrong thing. I gave my love a ring. Now he is bringing Bassanio to the story. Rather, she is bringing Bassanio to the story. I gave my love a ring and made him swear never to part with it, and here he stands. I dare be sworn for him. He would never leave. He would not leave it. Well, you see, I also had given my ring to my lover, my husband. And I tell you, I can guarantee you that the ring is in his finger. It is rather on his finger. I'm sure the ring is there on his finger. He would not part it for anything, nor pluck it from his finger for the wealth that the world masters. Even for the whole wealth of the world, he would not let it go. You give your wife too unkind a cause of grief, and 'twere to me I should be mad at it. You gave your wife the most unkindest cause of sadness. And if it were me, I would become mad about it. Bassanio aside, why, I were best to cut my left hand off and swear I lost the ring defending it. Bassanio says, oh my God, I am in such a trouble, because Portia would soon understand that I did the same thing. So it would have been better if I had cut my left hand off and tried to show that by trying to prevent the ring, or rather save the ring, I lost even my whole hand. My lord Bassanio gave his ring away unto the judge that begged it, and indeed deserved it too. Rusciano says, why? Bassanio had also given his ring to the judge, who asked for it, who begged for it, and he was right in doing so. He was right in doing so. They took some pains in writing. He begged mine, and neither man nor master would aught but the 2 rings. Well, they had really taken a lot of writing, and they deserved the ring. And both the lawyer and the lawyer's clerk would not accept anything but the 2 rings. What ring gave you, my lord? Not that, I hope, which you received of me. What? He's talking about that you gave some ring. I hope it's not that ring that I gave it to you. Bassanio, if I could add a lie unto a fault, I would deny it. But you see, my finger hath not the ring upon it, it's gone. Well, if I could tell a lie and deny it, it would have been much better. But the truth is that my finger doesn't have the ring. My finger doesn't have the ring. It's gone. Even so void is your false heart of truth. By heaven, I'll never come in your bed until I see the ring. So, your heart is so empty of love. I will not be your wife in that case until I find that ring. And Nerissa says, nor I yours till I see mine. So till I see my ring, I will not also be your wife. Sweet Portia, if you did know to whom I gave the ring, if you did know for whom I gave the ring, and would conceive for what I gave the ring, and how unwillingly I left the ring, when naught would be accepted but the ring, you would abate the strength of your displeasure. Bassanio says, well, see, sweet Portia, you must understand whom I gave the ring, for whom I gave the ring, what was the cause. If you could understand that, and that person would not accept anything but the ring, then there's so much displeasure that you are showing. So much displeasure that you are showing, that would lessen much. That would become much less. Portia says, if you had known the virtue of the ring, or half her worthiness that gave the ring, or your own honor to contain the ring, you would not have parted with the ring. So if you had known that it was your wife who had given you the ring, so who the real person who gave the ring? And if you had the honor to retain that ring, you would not have parted it for anything. You would not have parted it for anything. What man is there so much unreasonable, if you are pleased to have defended it with any terms of zeal, wanted the modesty to urge the thing held as a ceremony? Nerissa teaches me what to believe. I'll die for it, but some women had the ring. Well, so you are that type of a man who is so much unreasonable, lack of modesty, that you are trying to urge something which you should have held as a ceremony. Now Nerissa has taught me the right thing. I understand the right thing. I can tell you, if the ring has not been taken by any woman, then I would die for it. Surely it has been taken by some women, and that is true. Portia herself had taken the ring. So that is true, that it has gone to a woman. No, by my honor, madam, by my soul, no woman at it but a civil doctor, which did refuse 3,000 ducats of me and begged the ring. I'll tell you one thing, that it was nobody else but a civil lawyer who had asked for the ring. And I had offered him 3,000 ducats, but he denied it. Or he denied it and only asked for the ring. And suffered him to go. And if I did deny him, he would suffer to go away displeased. Even he that had held up the very life of my dear friend. So, he had held up the very life of my dear friend. What should I say, sweet lady? I was enforced to send it after him. I was beset with shame and courtesy. My honor would not let ingratitude so much besmear it. He had saved my best friend, a friend who had risked his life. So he just went away without the ring, and I felt so sad about it that I sent the ring after him. I felt that I was doing the most, what should you say, shameful thing. I was smearing myself with all shame and bad acts. My honor would not let ingratitude utter. So otherwise, it will be ingratitude. Pardon me, good lady, for by these blessed candles of the night, had you been there, I think you would have begged the ring of me to give the worthy doctor. I know, I'll tell you, I'm very, very sorry. But even if you were there, even if you were there, I'm sure that you would have allowed me to give the ring. Let not the doctor come near my house, since he hath got the jewel that I loved, and that which you did swear to keep for me, I will become as liberal as you. I will not deny him anything I have. Well, let not that doctor come, because he has that ring, the jewel, which I had given you and which you had sworn to keep it. So, if he comes to my house, whatever you have given me as precious, I keep as precious, I will give it to him, liberally give it to him. No, not my body, nor my husband's bed. No, him. I'm sorry, I'll not deny him anything I have. Know him I shall, I am well sure of it. Lie not a night from home. Watch me like Argus. If you do not, if I be left alone. Now, by mine honor, which is mine own, I will have the doctor for my bedfellow. So, I will even become his wife. I'm ready to become his wife. Leave my husband, let me tell you. And Nerissa says, I, his clerk. Therefore, be well advised how you do leave me to mine own protection. Now, you know, if that clerk comes, I'll become the clerk's wife. Okay, I think we have done a lot bit today. I would need one more class to finish this. A little bit is left, but it's still a little bit. Um, so let's see when we can
By
arrange.
this
Okay?
Friday we will finish.
Huh?
By this Friday we will finish the portion.
Next Friday. Yeah, I know. We will try and finish by Friday. But I'm worried about your exams. Okay, then we will finish it by Friday. And then we can discuss anything else if you want.